juicy perspective for you. If you're not getting the right answers, you're not asking the right questions. If you're not asking the right questions, then you're not getting the answers that you want. This first came to me while sitting with a German medicine woman in Guatemala while we're in a session together. And her words just reverberated through my entire being because it activated this remembrance that each and every one of us have the innate capacity to send out particular threads of inquiry into the world wide web of all knowledge. And based on the thread, we're going to get a specific answer. So if we're not receiving the answers that are actually anchoring tangible change in our lives, well, perhaps then we're not actually asking the right questions. This video is going to be extremely important within the realm of self-actualization, soul embodiment, soul alignment, all the juicy things that we are speaking about on this channel. So I'm really excited to share this with you. The structure of this video is going to be examining the art of inquiry, right? Framing what is actually informing our mechanism of inquiry. I'm going to then go into what constitutes the so-called right and wrong questions, and then leave you with some techniques to question with courage. Okay, let's get into it. Basically, you come into this world with a family of origin. You are standing on the shoulders of your ancestors and all of their memories, their experiences, their suffering, their blessings, their burdens. You're then born into a specific era which has its own blessings and burdens within a specific culture, a specific society with its own blessings and burdens, within then a particular relational field, your family, your friends, the company that you keep, which I've referred to before. And all of this is influencing the way and the what and the how of your questioning. Charles Eisenstein, who's the author of Sacred Economics and a bunch of other stuff, he says that there's an innate quest in questioning, which makes complete sense, right? When you think of the word quest, there's a mode of discovery, of investigation, exploration. And that's totally what a question puts out into the world. It's like an invitation for something to come to you, an insight, an idea, an answer, right? If you think of the question mark, it's got a bit of movement. It's like, woo, we're moving. And if you then put 4 question marks like that, and they're all, I don't know how to, it's like there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. If you see that, it's like it's spinning. Very different to a exclamation mark, which is anchoring, right? It's a statement. A question is a spiral. We're moving. This is the quest. So let's say your question is revolving around this deep desire to live a passionate life. And the questions that you've been asking so far haven't changed anything. You're still stuck, you're still uninspired, you're still bored, you're still feeling disconnected, you're still feeling like there's a gazillion different things that you could be passionate about, or that you should be doing, or that you should know, and you know, that kind of energy. After this video, you are going to be able to ask better questions. How cool is that? Now, prior to that, to situate this, you really need to understand that your questions and the way that you've been questioning and the manner that you've been questioning has been influenced by forces beyond your conscious control. Okay, so in order to then ask the kind of questions that you really want to ask, which are going to get the answers that you really need, we want to ask those questions from the most open, hopefully unbiased place that we can. So we're embarking upon a quest with a fresh canvas, right? We're not coming to the quest with like super muddy boots. You know, we've got fresh boots, yeah. So when we're speaking about the art of inquiry, we're speaking about how able are you to access your true essential self, not the conditioned, programmed self that has its own specific agenda, its own limits, its own understanding of what is and isn't possible. Let's discover and inquire from your essential self as best as we can. How do you do that? Well, the invitation is to turn your awareness within to access the emptiness within. Your essential self is not your body, it's not your mind that you think of, it's not your thoughts, it's not your emotions, it's not the image of yourself that you see when you close your eyes, it's not your memories, it's not your experiences. The closest thing that your true essential self is, let's say, is awareness. And so when we're going within, you are bringing awareness to your awareness. And so it's this magical emptiness that is actually not empty, which we're actually tapping into. When you turn your awareness within, you're connecting with the I amness. You're aware that you exist, and yet it's so whole in and of itself that you could just be there forever. There's no time, there's no space when we're connecting into this energy. It just is. It's isness, I amness, existence, awareness. It can be hard to define because the mind wants to compartmentalize and define it and understand it and grab onto it, yet it's non-local. It's not tangible. You can't really grab onto it. You experience it. You know it to be true based on your experience of it. And when you tune into this emptiness, you realize how full it is. You realize it's the meeting point of existence with non-existence. So when you send out questions, right, when you embark on the quest with your question from that empty, full place of awareness, that is non-local, but that you're aware of, so you must exist, then you're able to tap into that wide and vast field of all knowledge, of all wisdom, of everything, in a way that's going to allow you to retrieve an answer that will assist the version of you that exists in this form. We are first detaching, decoupling, let's say, the form from formlessness, so you get to experience the formless self that is unbiased, it's not conditioned, it's essential, it's true, right? Compared to the form, let's say, which has the ancestral programming, conditioning, the societal conditioning, the blessings, the burdens of nurture and nature. To get a sense of the difference, right? A feeling, a knowing that, yeah, there's definitely been forces beyond my control that have been influencing the way that I question and embark on my quest. But we don't stop there because that's a bypass. I'm speaking to you. You have a body. I have a body. So to completely bypass the fact that we're individuated points of consciousness, it's just silly. All right, we're not gonna rest there. But it's important to have a felt sense of it, so that when we reunite into the form, where I'm Sophie and I do come from my specific family of origin who have a specific ancestral inheritance, grew up in this particular society with its blessings, with its burdens, right? Then that's going to assist me in walking my path of purpose, my self-actualized, soul-aligned path from a way more holistic place. when you get that, you have already massively increased and enhanced the art of inquiry. So the big life changes that you want, such as living a more passionate life, enriched with purpose, enriched with more consistent waves of inspiration, which lead to motivation, which carries you forward, nurturing and nourishing a vision for your life. This requires patience. This requires willingness to go embark on the quest and to ask the questions. It requires work to self-actualize, right? You need to do actions. And part of those actions are asking questions. And so an efficient way to do that is to ask the good questions, the ones that are going to actually bring the change that you want to see in your life. So that brings me into the next section where I want to start to define, let's say, what a right question is and what a wrong question is. So, Sophie, who are you to tell me what a right question is and what a wrong question is? Isn't it subjective? Yes. And there are still some baseline generic frameworks that are still going to lead to a more positive result, and other ones that just aren't. Okay, so these ones are more universal. A right question has the foundation of relevance and clarity. Okay, so it's a little bit more specific. That's one framework. Doesn't mean that it's for all questions they need to be exactly specific. Another key part of a right question is it being open-ended. So open-endedness is what encourages contemplation, reflection. It's the difference between a yes/no answer, which is kind of closed, or one that can bring in a bit more of a discussion, a bit more of an exploration. A right question has a purposeful intent. Okay, so the intent could be greater awareness, gathering information. It could be fostering a deeper understanding or prompting further discussion, further exploration. A right question has a foundation of respect. It's not demoralizing, diminishing, judgmental. It's compassionate. It accepts the circumstances that the question is arising from and asks it in a way which is going to be supportive, right? Uplifting, let's say. Honing in on something. It's engaging, thought-provoking, right? It's very much that movement away from the simple yes/no to the quest. Now, alternatively, on the other side of things, a so-called wrong question is basically the opposite of that. So it's irrelevant and ambiguous, really vague, really unclear. Maybe to start off, we want some broader questions, but then you do want to get more specific. So consistently asking ambiguous questions can become a sort of self-sabotage mechanism, hiding behind the vagueness. What also constitutes a wrong question is one that's really like closed-ended or leading, like it's not really going somewhere that's open for an exploration. It's like suggesting something, it's assuming certain facts without justification. It's limiting an opinion. A classic example of a closed-ended or leading question is like, why can't I discover my passion? So you're leading that with can't. You're basically saying, I can't discover my passion. And so instead of a question that's more open-ended, this is very much, funneling you into a thread of inquiry, which is going to tell you all the reasons why you can't. Okay, so a wrong question, from that sense, is quite judgmental, confrontational. It's accusatory, which elicits more of a defense mechanism rather than open dialogue enriched with trust, enriched with respect. Okay, and that defensiveness can activate from within. I'm not even just talking about questions you're having with other people. This is self-inquiry primarily, is what we're speaking about here. Not to say that you can't engage in this discussion with other people, for sure you can, though just be aware that these leading closed-ended like questions that assume a certain limit, you're going to get an answer that's held within that limit, right? I want to give you an example of what I mean by this right and wrong based on what I've shared here as some generic but super useful frameworks. So, a wrong question within the theme of living from passion could be something like, why don't I know what my passion is? Why aren't I living a passionate life? Why can't I find my passion? Okay, so you're basically saying you don't know, you can't, and you're not. Let's morph that slightly. A so-called right question, a little bit more open, could be something like, why do I want to live a passionate life? How would I know if I embodied passion in my life? What would a passionate life look like for me? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being zero passion, dull, dead, and 10 being enriched with passion, 10 out of 10, wow, amazing, super passionate, what would a 10 out of 10 look like for me? Okay? So do you feel that tangible shift of one that's super narrow and one that's quite open? It's inspiring and inviting personal inquiry, contemplation, reflection. Like, you are, with those right questions, you've opened the door and you're walking out and you've started the quest. The other one, you're still sitting in the room on the desk, staring out of the window, not even realizing that there is a door that you can walk out of. I want to give you a visualization to help construct this image that I'm speaking of when we're speaking about the art of inquiry and asking the right questions. So imagine you're Harry Potter and you have your messenger owl. When you write a question, you give it to your owl, and your question is going to inform where your owl goes, what they retrieve, and what you are given in response. If you wrote a different question, your owl is going to go somewhere different, and you're going to retrieve a different answer, which is going to inform a different action in your life. So you, within this example, it's clear, have the capacity and the power to decide what that question is, to decide how specific it is, how closed or open-ended it is, how judgmental or respectful it is. You have that power. And to reiterate, the force that's going to assist you in asking a question that will lead to an open-ended exploration of discovery is first the capacity to decouple or notice a little better what is the conditioning which informed those limits that you've been living within and you didn't know why. What is the inner framework that prevented you from even seeing that there was a door that you could walk out of and walk your own path? This is huge. This is what informs what you write in the first place before giving it to your messenger owl. Another visualization is imagine that your question is a thread, okay? And when you ask a question, you're sending that thread up into the infinite tapestry of everything, of all knowledge, let's say, of all answers. And based on that thread and its color and its texture and its bigness, you're going to connect in with a thread within the tapestry of everything that matches your question. And again, what's influencing what your thread looks like? How big it is? What's its texture? It's those limitations, it's the conditioning, it's the way that you ask the question, it's the manner that you ask the question, it's the company that you keep, it's all these things, right? So really, the answers that you seek are dependent upon the questions that you ask. And whether or not you can ask the question that's going to broadcast the specific frequency, which is going to attract to you the answer that matches that, which will then bring about the results you want to see. As you know, where attention goes, energy follows. So that's why when we know this and we can embody this more, that's why we pay more attention to the subtle cues that we're telling our subconscious with our questioning, right? The difference between, why can't I live a passionate life? Hi, subconscious mind, I'm telling myself that I can't live a passionate life, versus, why do I want to live a passionate life? And how would I know if I personally embody a passionate life? Hi, subconscious mind, please retrieve for me the answers for why I want to live a passionate life. Flood me with the inspiration of why I want to live a passionate life. Massive difference. So within the frame of where attention goes, energy follows, the questions that you ask hold within them a specific underlying belief system, underlying meaning, a specific code, let's say. So the more that you speak this into creation, the more that you're going to attract to you the color, the thread that matches the thread that you put out there. So the more that you focus on them, the more that you ask them, the more that you're going to manifest the answers to those questions. The more reasons you're going to get why you can't live a passionate life. The more reasons you're going to get why you should be comparing yourself with other people and feeling so terrible about your life, let's say. This becomes some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. And in and of itself, a self-fulfilling prophecy isn't necessarily bad. Like, you could have a self-fulfilling prophecy that's uplifting based on the questions that you're asking, the quest that you have embarked upon, okay, and the company that you keep within this quest. So as I'm sure you're getting a sense of, in order to ask these questions, the right questions, it takes courage, because you're carving out a fresh path in the deep, dark woods, rather than walking on the path illuminated by solar paneled lights that everyone else is walking down. It's easier to walk on that path, right? But that path you've already walked down, and it doesn't lead anywhere because you've been looping on this path because it's in a circle. It doesn't actually get out of the woods. So despite the fact that it's kind of scary to get out the machete and cut your own path and not really know where you're going initially, that's exactly the position that you want to be in, because you're on a quest, remember? And inherent within the quest is that mode of discovery, of exploration. It's bravery, it's courageous. And when we're speaking about bravery, we are automatically speaking about fear, because you're not brave if there's no fear that you're overcoming, right? So how can you ask questions that drive innovation, creativity, that embrace curiosity, that are empowering yourself and returning to first principles, which is you going within, you inquiring, and you asking the questions that the true you wants to ask, not the questions that you've been given by the programming that you were born into. Overcoming fear and resistance to asking questions is you letting the universe know that you're ready to move away from victimhood. When you own the fact that you have the capacity innately within you to tune to the specific answer field that will actually bring about the results that you want, the answers that are going to assist you in carving their own path with the machete, not just looping around in the pre-cut out path that everyone else is walking on. This is you saying, yes, I feel scared, but I'm ready to take self-responsibility. You do that, that's saying bye to the victim. And I'm not saying this to shame or blame or diminish the fact that that's been happening, because don't you worry, I've been playing out the victim well and truly in my life as well. And it's not easy. When you move away from victim mentality, when you embrace self-responsibility, when you remember that you can decide what thread of inquiry you send out into the field of answers. This is you surrendering the inner victim, the one that was keeping you in that room and not letting you see the door. This is you giving that up. And from experience, literally no judgment, like I've been there, in some ways I'm still there. This can be scary because it's really threatening to the part of self that has been identified with the victim. The one who says, I can't, it's too hard, they can do it, but I'm the exception. It's super threatening for that part. You're literally like, it's like on the edge of the cliff and you're about to push it off. It's super scared, right? So with compassion, like, you know, I feel you, and you've been a guest in my house for too long. I really need you to leave. Like, you've taken up all the beds, you've started wearing all my clothes, you're eating all my food. It's time you leave, all right? And maybe the inner victim in your guest house has made friends with some of the other parts that weren't in their full power. And so when you're threatening the life of the inner victim, you're also threatening the other parts that have benefited from the presence and the existence of the inner victim within the ecosystem of your psyche. So compassion to that, you know, no judgment. Remember, no magical quick fixes. The cost of entry of the quest, the cost of opening that door by first recognizing that there is a door, stepping outside and walking your own path, is accepting that there's going to be massive pain body flare-ups, particularly when we're threatening the life of the victim, right? And little does it know that it's going to be transmuted into the creator, but it doesn't know that initially. It just thinks it's going to die. And it is, but you know, energy is neither created nor destroyed, so it's actually just getting alchemized, you know? Again, compassion to that. Though this is the juice of questioning with courage, by first acknowledging that fear is going to be present because we're speaking about courage. Without fear, there's no courage. So just know that, okay? Don't expect it to be super easy, super flowy, no resistance, no challenges, no barriers. Like, that wouldn't be a quest if it was that easy, would it? It would just be walking outside on a path and then just going home, and it being Groundhog Day, and that just happening every day, and no change, like the Truman Show. So when you can question even the inner parts of self, you are empowering yourself massively. Like, don't even take anything that you say in your own head as gospel. Not to get neurotic about it, but, you know, power to the true self. Power to the unbiased self. The one who is your greatest ally in attuning you in this form to your soul-aligned life. So as we wrap up this video, I want to offer you a few simple techniques to formulate powerful questions. To start, instead of asking the questions that lead to the yes/no, ask the questions that invite discussion and exploration. Super simple example, instead of asking, Did you like that movie? Or did you like that meal? You ask, what did you find most inspiring about that movie or that book? What element did you find most interesting about that meal? Open for discussion, not closed-ended. That's a big one. Another technique you can use is what's called the 5 whys. This is kind of nice. This is like you digging a little deeper. This one sort of counters what I'm saying about not asking, let's say, those leading questions that are assuming limits. Because sometimes, you need to be real with yourself and acknowledge that, yeah, there are some limits here, and I want to get to the root of that. So this is where this technique could be really useful. For example, you start with a question like, why am I feeling so disconnected from passion in my life? Okay, there's your first question. Answer. Well, I feel disconnected from passion in my life because I feel like I'm just going through the motions every day. Okay, cool. So why do I feel like I'm going through the motions? Just going through the motions. Why do I feel that? Okay, well, because my current work and lifestyle doesn't challenge me or inspire me. It did, but it doesn't anymore. Okay, getting a little deeper. Next question. Why doesn't my current work or lifestyle challenge or inspire me anymore? Okay, cool. Well, because they don't align with my true interests and values. All right, we're really getting somewhere here. Next, why don't my current activities and work align with my true values and interests? All right, well, actually, it's because I haven't even taken the time to explore what truly matters to me, to define what I'm truly, what I truly value in this world. Okay, next question. Why haven't I taken the time to explore my values? Therefore, my passion. Answer. Because I've focused on meeting immediate demands, because I've focused on survival, instead of prioritizing or at least structuring in time for self-reflection and exploration. So we've gone from a broad, what's the reason why I'm feeling disconnected, to more of a root, which is I haven't structured in time for self-reflection. And from that, you have a really tangible action step to implement in your day and your week. From there, okay, cool. You can go structure in an hour of self-reflection, or you can weave it into your daily morning or evening practice. Self-reflection time, journaling time. Amazing. That's a massive step on your path. And remember, you're here for the long game. So micro changes are what compound into being macro changes. So don't undervalue these seemingly simple readjustments and shifts in what company you're keeping, what activities you're filling your week with. Another technique is to ask questions which really put you in a visualization, which invites you to imagine a scenario where you're sort of fully engaged in something, without limits, without constraints. An example of this within the context of questioning about how you could live a life more enriched with passion could be something like, okay, if you could spend your time doing anything, no limits, no money boundaries, no time boundaries, heck, maybe you even live forever, okay? No limits. What is the activity? What is the thing that you would pursue? Right? Cool. Super imaginative. That's not closed-ended. That's not assuming limits. It's not judging you, right? It's simply opening yourself up, sending the golden thread up into the World Wide Web. of all knowledge, of all answers, into the field of all, and trusting that your golden thread is going to come in sympathetic resonance with the golden thread within the tapestry of all, to then retrieve those answers for you. And these will be cues for what you're actually passionate about. You know, maybe you're not going to get the one thing from this question, though you will definitely get cues and clues. So to recap, if you don't have the answers, you're not asking the right questions. And how do you ask the right questions? First, you begin to decouple the conditioned self from the true self by noticing and knowing as best as you can the conditioning, the programming, the blessings and the burdens that you were born into and you grew up in. Okay, that's key. Then you embark on the quest of questioning, and you ask questions that will start to open yourself up to innovation, creativity, in a mode of curiosity and discovery and exploration. It's an adventure, it's a quest. Recognize that because you're going on a quest, you are separating yourself from the well worn out path that many have walked on before you, and you have decided to carve your own path. Acknowledge that this may be a threat to the parts of you that have played the victim, the parts that have played safe. It's also going to threaten the parts that have benefited from the existence of the victim and the one that plays small. Compassion to that. But also remember that there's no courage without fear being present. There's no bravery without fear being present. So thank God that this is activating some kind of pain body response. It means that you are embarking on the quest. You're going against the mold and the mode of stagnancy that has kept you stuck. Awesome. Also compassion to that. There are no magic quick fixes. The cost of entry to open the door and walk the path, the quest, is patience, is willingness, is work, it's courage, of course. And learn to ask those questions that also get to the root, which may require a super real kind of negativity bias, like, yo, why am I feeling disconnected from passion? So, no hard and fast, this is exactly what you need to say, this is exactly how you do the questioning. It's not a copy paste, but there are principles that we can benefit from knowing and applying. So, from this, let me know below your thoughts from this video. Let me know what has inspired you, what perhaps has triggered you. You can help me out, help this channel out by liking this video, maybe sharing it with someone you feel would benefit from hearing this, someone that you feel is ready to embark on the quest of questioning. And schedule in the time for self-reflection, for self-inquiry, for going within and remembering that you are part of something way bigger than you and your mind can rationalize. But that this you, that is non-local, that is eternal, that is unbiased, unconditioned, is already connected to the answers you're really looking for. Remember that. I thank you for spending this time with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So stay tuned to this space where there will be more goodness coming. My intention is to release a video once a week within the realm of creative empowerment, embodied authenticity, inspiration, and a bunch of other things that I'm really interested in as we walk the path of self-actualization, as we embark on the quest of questioning. And yeah, know that this is the long game. So bless you for being courageous enough to recognize that you are ready and able to walk this path despite you also feeling maybe scared sometimes. Compassion to that. That's cool. That's naturally part of it. It's honestly a good thing. There's no progression, there's no development when you just play safe. Love it. So, with that said, lots of love, and I'll see you next time.